United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? My name's Noelle, and if this episode ends up being named Let's Get Crack-a-Lackin', know that it was against my will.
Okay, well, if it...
And fully, and I do not endorse it, and I do not support it.
Okay, well, and my name is Chelsea. Just know that it could have been something as terrible and simple, therefore awful, as release the Kraken, and at least it wasn't fucking that.
Simple is better sometimes, especially when compared to Crack-a-Lackin'. Crack-a-Lackin' is giving very much doggo. It's giving very much posing with my infinity scarf and thick-rimmed glasses. It's giving very much bacon on everything. It's giving very much handlebar mustache tattoo on your finger, so you can go,
Release the Kraken, respectfully. Gives the... We'll just have a plate of fries to share. It's giving the mom who reaches behind trying to swat her kids while pretending she's a good mother on Facebook.
You're going to sit here and say a plate of fries for the table doesn't sound good. You're going to look me dead in the eye and say a plate of fries for the table does not sound good.
It's giving a mediocre man telling the same joke at a table over and over again because he thinks that people didn't hear him, but the reason why they're actually not laughing is because the joke wasn't funny. It's giving the worst Liam Neeson movies. It's just mediocrity.
Which is
the movie where he literally says, release the fucking Kraken in Attack of the Titans, a movie that no one has fucking seen because it was so bad. And you want to know who saw it? Me. Because I was trying to be an OG ride or die for Liam Neeson, and then I had to watch him play fucking Poseidon and go, release the Kraken. And then they had Perseus cut off Medusa's head. It could have been great.
Now this is making sense to me. You're projecting a bad movie that you saw.
Yeah, and you're projecting, I don't know what you're projecting. You're projecting that mole on your neck.
No, not even, bitch. You are, wow, I can't believe that we have really sat during this time where you're projecting some shitty fucking B movie that Liam Neeson was in. Dude, what was it called?
Attack of the Titans, I think. Liam Neeson, Poseidon, Wrath of the Titans.
Liam Neeson, one of his worst. Yeah, it's one of his worst ranked movies.
Dude, you know, I went and saw maybe like last year or something. A Liam Neeson movie with my dad, and it was really bad. He was supposed to have OCD, and he was like a guy who worked for the CIA, and the way that they would show his OCD, which was not repeated throughout the movie, so it was just very random, and you were like, what the fuck? And it wasn't even explained until 3/4 of the way through that he even had OCD. But how they would try to phrase it is the whole camera would shake, and you'd be like, as it zoomed in on something that Liam Neeson was noticing, and you were like, what the fuck?
What?
Yeah, and then you don't realize it's OCD until he taps his spoon like 3 times on his coffee cup, and this girl goes, you got a problem? And he's like, yeah, makes me notice things sometimes. And I'm like,
Stop.
This was supposed to be OCD, and it's literally like,
I would have thought it was like a premonition or something.
That's what I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, is he getting kicked out of the CIA because he has a brain tumor? Like, it was God. And this was like,
yeah, he should have raced over to the doorknob and touched it 10 times, spun in a circle and touched it 10 times again, and then gone, oh, thank God, now my dad won't die. And then we all have been like, oh, it's OCD.
It was like Monk, but with it's just so
like so Spidey bad. Sense tingling, but they're doing like a zoom in.
Yes, and I was like, that's not, what the fuck is that? It was, yeah, and then he doesn't even do it the whole time. And the thing that's crazy is like it helps him catch people, but it never slows him down.
So it's so unlike OCD because yours does nothing and it hinders you completely.
100%. 100%. I noticed nothing.
Yeah, including electrical fires in your house.
Well, that's not OCD. That's just not having a sense of smell.
I'll blame it to the OCD because maybe if you were checking outlets more, it wouldn't have
I will
happened.
say it is the compulsion. I don't think it's OCD, but there is a compulsion to consistently drink coffee because I don't get a good enough sleep that I'm just like, you know what, I'll just self-medicate. So the only reason why the electrical fire started was I had been trying to make an espresso all day. So I'd plug it in, I'd go to grind the beans, and it'd go, pew! And like, I'm like, come upstairs.
And you'd be like, let me try again, actually.
Exactly. I'd unplug it, plug it back in, turn it on, go to grind the coffee beans. He'd be like, pew! I was like, back upstairs I go. At one point, though, I did take a leaf out of your book, and I just took an extension cord, and I extension corded to a different outlet, which worked fine.
Yeah. See?
So.
Look at that. Wow. You know, every day I'm shocked that we're alive.
I'm literally shocked.
Literally? And
Literally
figuratively.
shocked and figuratively.
Electricity is causing harm to my existence.
The weakness that we have, and the dog with a bone-like resilience that electricity has in its consistency for coming after both you and I. It's like Final Destination where death takes on a personality and it's just slithering around, but it's all decisions on our own part.
Yeah.
Of you with the electrical cord in the bathtub and me of just actively watching a socket explode. And I'm like, Anyway, the Kraken.
God damn it. Yeah, speaking of almost dying, I guess.
Yeah. So, like we talked about with Liam Neeson movies, the Kraken is something we have seen across the big screens more than once, with probably the most immediate call to mind being Pirates of the Caribbean. At the time of writing this episode, I knew it was in that terrible Liam Neeson movie, and I couldn't be bothered to look it up, but now we know it was Wrath of the Titans, released in 2012.
Also, this is such a lie because you clearly subconsciously think of that movie first. And
yeah, but I couldn't remember what it was called.
Okay. That's fine.
But I was
but
like,
we now know.
That, yeah, right now, if I would have been bothered enough to look up the release the Kraken scene.
Yeah, so for the rest of us, what comes to mind is Pirates, I should say, and what comes to mind for you is Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
So, call it like it is what I'm saying.
So naturally, there are plenty of ocean monsters we have covered before, such as the Megalodon, but the Kraken is definitely more feared and noteworthy when it comes to sailing folklore. Whereas the Meg and other sharks are more known for their one-and-done bite style, the Kraken took man-eating a step further by devouring an entire ship's crew in one fell swoop. And according to accounts of its horrific attacks, massive schools of fish would follow wherever this graceful giant would swim, which allowed daring fishermen to venture near this fearsome beast, risking it all for one big score. In fact, according to mentalfloss.com, quote, I should have looked up how to pronounce this dude's last name. Bishop Eric Pontoppidan wrote extensively about the Kraken in his 1750s book, The Natural History of Norway. In it, he proposed that this great beast ate a great deal of fish, and therefore his waste must also be fairly fishy. This muddy concoction was allegedly so delicious smelling to other fish that they would come and congregate around it. The Kraken could then pounce on its meal and produce more bait, continuing the cycle.
So he's saying that because Krakens eat a lot of fish because they're giant monsters, they therefore shit a lot of fish, and the fish love the fish shit, and so then they eat up the fish shit, and that's how it eats more fish.
Yeah, it's a circle of life.
Jesus Christ. Question also. Is a Kraken just a giant octopus?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that because we will get into it 100%.
Okay, cool. Can't wait.
So, in the early days of navigation, the sea presented a daunting and perilous challenge. It was vastly unknown, marked by treacherous waters, instability, and above all, inherent danger. Despite these risks, sailors had no choice but to brave the open sea in order to reach their desired destinations. These brave men, the depths of the ocean seemed to conceal an array of lurking monsters. Even the most fearless seafarers held a reverent fear of the sea, and the stories they shared gradually evolved into legends, as stories tend to do when passed down through generations. Every encounter with an unfamiliar creature in the vast expanse of the open sea held the potential to acquire a mythical quality. For a monster to become worthy of legendary tales, sheer gigantic size alone was not sufficient. It needed the means of attack to vanquish ships along with their unfortunate crews. Throughout the centuries, countless sea monster legends were born, only to fade into obscurity, with only a handful managing to endure until the present day. The Kraken, standing as one of those enduring legends, is quite possibly the most colossal monster ever imagined by humankind. Its legend originated from the stories of seafarers, but underwent a significant modification and amplification over time. From its inception, the Kraken became an integral part of Nordic mythology and folklore. According to an ancient and somewhat obscure manuscript from what is happening?
You're having a stroke, dude.
Jesus, let me just take like 6 gallons of wine real quick.
That's
the problem. I yelled so much on Patreon that I didn't drink my mouth lube.
Yeah, definitely the wine will help you, for sure. I bet you probably had 2 french fries and a carrot for dinner today. So yeah, definitely just keep drinking the wine.
Oh. Unique New York.
Unique New York.
Unique New York.
There you
Cheese
go.
and rice, man. All right. Now I have hair in my face. Now it's all I can think about.
She's losing it. There
We're
we go.
doing it live. This is a live show that we definitely have the means to edit because we don't record it live. I can clip whatever I want, but I will not do it.
No, don't. That's why I like us. We keep it real.
Yeah, it's authenticity. According to an ancient and somewhat obscure manuscript from around 1180, penned by King Sverre of Norway,
Nice.
the Kraken was just one among numerous sea monsters. In another anonymous work called the Saga of Ovar Uldur, out of Iceland, other monsters are mentioned which shared significant similarities with the Kraken. The Hafgufa and the Lingbacker were colossal creatures who had a propensity for attacking ships and their crews. I can't say Norwegian words without putting my whole shoulders into it,
Yeah, you're really letting that blonde pop out.
The sounds of my people. Just in 1250, there was actually a Norwegian encyclopedia compiled that further described the characteristics of the Hufgaffa and the Lingbacker, which leads many to believe that both creatures are none other than the legendary Kraken itself.
Do you know the conundrum of the dragon?
Tell
Do
me
you know about this? So, I wonder if you could say that the Kraken is similar. So, no one understands why. We would sum it up to synchronicity, right? But anthropologists don't understand why every civilization, even to as far back as time and paintings began, people were describing dragons from all regions in all parts of the world, especially when and even when they were completely unconnected. It would be physically impossible for the times and the means for those people to come in contact with each other and share stories. And yet every single civilization has a version of the dragon, and it is almost unanimous in it what it looks like and what it does. And no one knows why. Some people, and I think this is so stupid, silly, dumb, some people think that it's like our stupid lizard brain taking all of the innate fears that we are born with to be afraid of, and it's what happens when your mind mashes them all together and it creates a dragon. Like the things that we should be fearing for our safety to survive. But I don't think that fully explains it, because I don't even think if I was to put together all of the creatures and beings that could hurt us as we evolved as humans to mash up. It would look more like man bear pig than a fucking dragon. You know what I mean?
Look more like a fucking man from the internet.
Exactly.
Look like a Reddit mod.
Yeah, a Reddit moderator. And so I don't know how they got dragons. So I wonder if Kraken is like the same thing. It's almost like unanimously all of these different civilizations have a version of it.
Yeah, so I actually do have the answer to it, but I'm going to give you the conspiracy answer first. And I'm going to give you the actual anthropological answer second. So I said conspiracy first, right? Conspiracy first.
Yes.
Predating Atlantis was the legendary island of Mu, and they had dragons there. And then they took, like, the dragons were the weapons that they had that destroyed the island, and thus destroying they destroyed their own food supply, and the people who took care of him was essentially they took out all the Targaryens, thus putting everything in water, everything sunk, and then the dragons cut off their own food supply. But the Mu put all of their stuff into the Lemurian crystals, which you can transcribe if you have had a past life experience on the legendary island of Mu, which some people have, and then they take that through their generational memories, and then they bring it forth into new cultures. That's a conspiracy answer. The real anthropological answer, Noelle, and I'm actually surprised that you don't know this, is dragons are real and we killed them. Or they left.
Yeah.
The aliens came and got them back.
I would leave too if I was them.
Yeah.
But
it is interesting though, because like you said, like, there are things that are present in every culture, and if you don't want it to be dragons, then let's just take the physical evidence of the fucking pyramid, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's, why? Is it Carl Jung says it's a collective consciousness that we all share, which sounds like kind of a hokey pokey thing. I mean, it can make sense. Like, humans evolve culturally on a similar scale.
A collective conscious is too woo-woo to explain this.
Yeah.
Like, a collective conscious would maybe be like, don't touch that, it's hot, you'll hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But like creatures and building formations and rituals that we all have, that doesn't explain it for me.
Yeah. I'm going to, realistically, if I were to chalk it up, do I believe dragons existed? Yes. Do I understand how and in what capacity? No. But I really wish I fucking did.
Well, like, isn't a dragon just kind of a dinosaur?
Yeah.
Because not all of them breathe fire.
Yeah, and what, does a dragon have to have wings? Because there were dinosaurs that had wings.
Yeah, so.
Anyway.
It's probably real.
Who am I to say a dragon isn't real?
Yeah.
I don't know how to balance the debt to my income to make my credit score skyrocket to the moon. That's because, like we say, these are imaginary things.
You're so right.
Comprehend.
A dragon and a kraken are more based in tangible reality to me than a credit score.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's it.
A kraken and a dragon walk into a bar, and a credit score says, "Hey, what'll it be?" And they'll be like, "What the fuck are you?" That's the joke. Stupid.
And that's it.
The joke writes itself. So dumb. I might actually edit out.
No, you better leave it. That really touched me. That touched me on a metaphysical level, because that's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how we all feel. Where we live in a society where
you actually sounded like Joaquin Phoenix.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Like, I've been hanging out online. I didn't even hear that with my ears. I heard it with my heart, and it scared. That was like the ASMR Reiki that I was talking about, dude.
So, we live in a society where people are telling me credit scores are real, credit scores are real, credit scores are real, and they're not, and they don't exist, and they don't make any sense, and they don't live in this realm of reality. And then here I have dragon paintings from every century of human life, and they're like, "This made up, we're gonna do a fairy tale." Like, what?
I've seen more evidence painted in to what we consider artistic history for dragons, and have yet to see a credit score.
I have yet to see a credit score on a cave painting.
A credit score is the equivalent of a fucking modern age tulpa. I will see a credit score standing in the woods in an ominous bog fog with Slender Man. Long after I ever see a dragon, you know what I mean?
That's true, you know, and we're getting ready to like manifest the tulpa because I'm 2 seconds away from dragging my friends into the woods and killing them for the credit score.
You can like take its powers like the Little Mermaid. You can just be like, sign here, bitch, and like you'll slurp the credit score out of them like a soul, and you'll hold it in a seashell necklace, and then you'll convince a prince to give you a car at a low interest rate.
Then that's capitalism, baby. That's capitalism after 1989.
I'm just playing the game, bruh. Just playing the game.
Oh my fucking god, I can't handle it.
It's so stupid.
Suffering. Oh fucking god damn it. So anyway,
obviously, we are not good at pronouncing things. Dare I say, pronouncing anything, including the words I know. Reading from a script that I wrote. But lucky for us, the moniker of Kraken won out over its hard to pronounce counterparts in terms of culture and history.
Thank God.
Initially, it was described as being the size of an island, but as time progressed, its size shrunk, but its ferocity increased tenfold. Pseudoscientific, cryptozoological, and official naval records contain numerous accounts of encounters with the Kraken. These reports detail the creature's method of using its arms to assault a ship, and if this strategy failed, the Kraken would employ a devastating tactic. It'd create a fierce maelstrom capable of dragging an unfortunate vessel to the ocean's depths.
It would do like how you and your friends at the community hot tub and you would run in circles around to make a whirlpool. That's what it would do.
I almost sent you, I saw the dumbest TikTok, and it was just these two guys on a green screen, and it was like two friends at the pool, and they're running around in a circular above ground pool, and they're like, turn around! And then they turn around, they're like, it's too strong! And then the TikTok ends, and I wanted to be like, Oliver and Ty. Because it's two dudes in like unflattering tank tops. And you're too drunk, bro. And I was like, oh, I hope I find it again. Because I was like,
I hope you do as well.
This. Yeah, but I was
and
like,
also that's everyone making a whirlpool.
That's another collective unconscious.
Yeah, that's another
pyramids.
Synchronicity of humanity is making the whirlpool only in an above ground pool.
Only. So this maelstrom, similar to all of us having fun in circular public pools, was the most commonly attributed trait found in Kraken literature, albeit with some variations. But the most common purpose or way that it would carry this out was that it would swim in circular motions around the ship to create a deadly vortex. However, like that evolved into the smaller Kraken. And its original thoughts and renditions, it was so large that the mere act of it submerging itself could trigger this maelstrom, which would drag down any helpless ship in its vicinity, dooming each sailor to a miserable death at sea.
Yeah, I believe it. Mm-hmm. I've seen some fucking big squids wash up lately. Who's to say?
Who's to say? I'll say. The lore surrounding the Kraken suggests that its immense size may have led to confusion and the misinterpretation of maritime tales involving massive sea serpents. This part kind of blew me away. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to embrace my age and increase the font here. I think that's what's getting fucked up.
You know what is actually interesting about not just you increasing the font size, but sea serpents. Sea serpents.
What's the tangent? Go on. Yes, fonts and sea serpents, yes.
Like, sea serpents, they, much like boomers only being the ones to increase the font size on a document and on their phones, sea serpents have also kind of faded. Like, no one's making like shit with sea serpents anymore. They're not in movies. They're not monsters. But like
Yeah.
that's but like I could see a sea serpent drawn on like a Viking ship. I can like
Yeah.
see it in my mind's eye, but like in the pop culture zeitgeist right now, it's like not around. It's not cute.
You're right. We're due for a sea serpent comeback.
Where's a sea serpent movie?
That doesn't
You know?
exist. They're gonna give us Nessie and hope that delicious fucking sorbet of ice cream is gonna satisfy our need for a chocolate sundae.
You think Nessie is a sea serpent?
No, they're gonna give us a Nessie,
Okay, yeah,
which is a delicious sorbet.
yeah,
and hope that it placates our desire for a banana split.
yeah.
Ah!
You're so
They're
right.
both delicious, but that's not what I was craving.
Yeah. It's so interesting how we've had Sharknado and Cocaine Bear and then no sea serpent.
No.
That's interesting to me.
Nothing. And it's, frankly, I'm fucking fed up to hear about it.
Yeah, I am. Okay, anyway, that was just a realization I had. I was like, when's the last time we saw a sea serpent?
You know, I wish I could tell you when, but it's been so long, I have no idea.
Yeah, probably when the Vikings started to pillage villages.
Yeah.
So
these sea serpents, described as reptile-like or even dragon-like creatures capable of sinking ships and devouring their crews, have been the subject of numerous seamen's reports throughout history. Official naval records, as well as scientific and cryptozoological research, contain accounts of encounters with these serpentine snakes. And these sea serpents' descriptions often feature an elongated and sinuous body reminiscent of a serpent, which may resemble the swimming posture of krakens, who keep their arms and tentacles close together, creating a serpent-like appearance.
So they're dismissing sea dragons and saying it's just a kraken swimming fast.
Yeah. See,
I hate that. I hate it.
The sailors' observations of eyeless and mouthless heads can be attributed to the glimpses of tentacle clubs or the tips of the kraken's mantle bloop, protruding out of the water level. Additionally, the expulsion of water jets from the serpent's mouths, a characteristic often reported, corresponds to the squid's use of water jets expelled through their funnel for escape to deter fishermen. Isn't that interesting?
It's interesting, but I still hate it.
It's sea serpents. We're actually the fucking mythical kraken the whole time.
I hate it. Oh, I hate it.
Right? Because if it's like dark or you're in a storm and you see a fucking tentacle come up and it's like, bleh! Like you're not being like,
no, I would know.
Appendages
I would know.
Different. But if you're fucking hammered and you're just riddled with syphilis,
that's true.
Like you and I would know.
Syphilis was rotting their brains.
Yeah, because we're educated, albeit functionally illiterate women of modern times.
Yes, you're classic woman, semi-illiterate.
So, but now, and I know Noelle might want to be one of these people, Noelle, are going to want to write off the kraken as just being a giant squid.
Actually.
Dare I say, that is the equivalent of trying to write off the megalodon is nothing more than a great white shark.
No, it's a big shark.
It's a big ass squid, bish.
That's what I'm saying.
Kraken. It's not just. Well, then a megalodon is just a great white.
No, it's a big shark.
Kraken is a squid.
I also don't think it's a squid. I think it's an octopus.
It's not.
I think it's a giant octopus.
It isn't. So, while they may share many characteristics, it is their penchant of mayhem and sheer size that truly sets them apart. And while it may seem easy to dismiss their existence, it is important to note that brilliant minds since Aristotle have been talking about the legendary creature. And even the esteemed zoologist Carl von Linné, known as Linnaeus, who holds a revered place in the scientific community as the father of biological systematics, believed in the kraken wholeheartedly. In his notable work, the Systema Naturae, published in 1735, Linnaeus dedicated a section to describe the kraken as a genuine organism. And it was only a short time later that zoologist Pierre Denis de Montfort conducted studies on colossal cephalopods, inspired by reports from ship captains who claimed to have encountered massive tentacles at sea. Seeking evidence to support these accounts, de Montfort referenced ancient artwork and cited instances of ship disappearances as possible indications of the existence of these colossal creatures. In a rather bold assumption, after the disappearance of 10 ships in 1782, de Montfort attributed the blame to the Kraken.
So this is similar to like the dragon conundrum, where we can go back in almost all of written, documented, painted human history and see some sort of cited instance of a Kraken. So,
yeah.
Like I said, I have seen the giant squid that come up during the daylight. I don't even know what's going on at nighttime.
Yeah.
So it's like we've said it a million times. We will always beat this dead horse. We know more about outer space, which has no limit that we have found. We know more about that than we do about our own oceans.
It's true.
So, if there's clearly a giant octopus, that's exactly what it is. If that is in the ocean, I believe it.
Yeah, I would believe in a giant octopus, and I would also believe in the especially distinct giant kraken, which is not an octopus. In fact, Noelle, consider this story. In the year 1848, something extraordinary happened aboard the frigate Tentacles. And you know what? I was like, what the fuck is a frigate?
Yeah, what is a frigate?
It's just a little boat that you use oars, but it's like especially distinct from like a rowboat.
Frigate sounds like a slur.
It does sound like a slur, but I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, can I just put like a little rowboat? But it was like apparently distinct from that. Like I went on a side quest because first I had to look up how the fuck you pronounce that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, frigate, what? And then
that's like escape.
Yeah, that's 100% it. And I was like, what is that? And it's just like a little boat with oars. Stupid, yeah. But I imagine it's what you see people in when they're rowing out to their ships because the ships can't come to shore.
Isn't that what Captain Hook was on when the alligator came to eat him and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's just a frigate.
Yeah.
It's a freaking frigate. Anyway.
A frigate!
So the sailors had a close encounter with a sea creature of immense proportions, estimated to be around 60 feet in length, causing quite a stir. Notably, Sir Richard Owen, the renowned figure who coined the term dinosaur, put forth the notion that what the sailors saw was merely a seal.
Wow, I never thought I would be so first invigorated that we were talking about the man who came up with the term dinosaur, only to be let down mercilessly when he said merely a seal.
Yeah. That's how I feel when you're like, it's just a squid.
You're so fucking wrong about that because I never said it was squid. I said it was a giant octopus. So you're just wrong all the way around.
This sparked a heated and long-standing debate between Owen and the captain of the Daedalus. I feel like I'm going to pronounce that different every time.
That's fine. We know.
I'm just going to call it the Dada. The captain firmly asserted that they were well acquainted with the appearance of fucking seals and knew what they encountered was something entirely different. Similar observations remained in 1845, which Owen also dismissed, until finally the year 1873, when a colossal squid was caught by a fisherman. This discovery shed new light on the previous encounters, vindicating the captain's claims and providing evidence to support that there are 100% things in the ocean that we may want to write off as being seals or manatees, but time and time again, we are bound to discover something new.
You know, I'm not the smartest person by any means. This podcast is proof of that. But I would know what a fucking seal looks like versus like a colossal squid. Like, what the fuck? How do you mistake those two things?
Pissed would you be if you looked someone dead in the eye and you were like, I saw a giant fucking squid, and they with their whole chest perked up and was like, no, I think you mean an octopus.
No, you're so wrong because those are basically the same guy.
They're not,
Same
because
guy, different fonts.
the proportions of an octopus in terms of its tentacles is vastly different than a squid's body with its tentacles. There
Well,
is an
because I've never said
wanna know what
that
makes
it was
me
a squid. I said it was a giant
You want to know what makes me so
octopus.
mad? Is I
Just like
read,
a megalodon is a giant shark.
I spent like 45 minutes reading through the most boring research about why the fucking Kraken is a squid. And then they even put up the comparisons of how it couldn't be an octopus. And I'm like, no one's going to fucking challenge us on this. And now look at me, egg on my face. You know what, Noelle? I just thank you for keeping me honest when it comes to my research.
Yeah.
And knowing that I need to cross every T and dot every I. I hope I can be better for you.
Yeah, I hope that you are better, honestly, probably in the next 5 sentences where you don't say that I said it's a squid because I never said it was a squid. I said it was a giant octopus. So if you could stop misquoting me, that would immediately make you better.
Also, consider the idea that sometimes it's boots on the ground or boots on the ocean, so to speak, who are the authorities in these cases that we should be listening to in such matters. Because more often than not, they are 100% correct in their assertions that no, it wasn't a giant fucking seal. Ooh, that would make me so mad. It's like going to the doctor now where you're like, I don't feel good. And they're like, you need more sleep. And then like your leg is like actively broken. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
I'm like, but the leg. And they're like, drink more water. It's like, the water is the modern day seal. And I'm fucking sick of it.
Well, it's like, what are your point of references? Because like, I would mistake a dog for a seal in the water more than I would a fucking colossal squid. Like that's just willful ignorance, honestly. And it is, frankly, very typical for a man of the time.
Very typical indeed. Plus, like a captain who is like a career captain, modern day, could be like, before you get on this ship, you need to eat a raw onion or your insides are going to turn to slush. I'd be like, yes, sir. I hate onions, but you're the expert in this field. And I would just eat one happily. And you know what? If someone was like, you're an idiot, you didn't need to do that. I'm like, I'm not arguing with this guy. It's the same way you like don't argue with like grandma's homemade like recipe for making you not feel sick anymore, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, you need to put cayenne pepper on a lemon and eat it. I'm like, that's exactly what I need to do. Thank you, grandma.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's dive into one of the most noted encounters with a Kraken, which occurred on November 17th, my mom's birthday, of
Happy
1861. Speaking of Cayenne, during its voyage to Cayenne, a French corvette, which is a small warship, but you have to fucking call them a corvette because they are legally distinct from.
Wow.
I don't understand boating terminology.
Little red corvette.
So, called the Alecton, was navigating near...
You got it. Sounded out.
I even wrote it out phonetically, and people are going to be like, you're so stupid.
Tenerife?
Tenerife. Navigating near the Canary Islands.
There you go. The Canary Islands.
As the ship approached the land, a lookout on the crew noticed a particularly large, partially submerged body on the water surface and alerted the captain to its presence. Now, Captain Boyer had heard reports of giant squid before and was pretty familiar with them himself as a long-tenured man of the ocean. He had come across mutilated and decomposed pieces of giant squid before, as well as seen like similar documentation about them, which had come out of Denmark in the 1840s. However, as the crew and captain observed the creature in the water, it became apparent that they were not observing the standard squid. Determined to capture the creature, Captain Boyer instructed the crew to fire muskets, large harpoons, and one sailor even attempted to ensnare the creature with a noose.
The muskets ain't fucking doing it, brothers. It is not. The muskets barely killed people.
Yeah, just like an infection weeks later.
Yeah.
The bullet seemed, as Noelle would point out, the bullet seemed to have little to no effect on the squid's rubbery body, excluding the arms, which had chunks blown from them with each well-placed shot from the musket.
And it would later die 3 weeks later.
After it was eaten by a whale. In an unrelated case. The crew estimated that the creature was about 40 feet in length, and they struggled with it for roughly 7 hours.
It's too long. I would have given after 7
I'd
minutes.
be like, let it go.
Yeah.
Eventually, old Nooseman came through, and they succeeded in lassoing a rope around the creature's body. However, due to its immense weight, which the crew estimated to be about 2 tons or 4,000 pounds, their attempt to haul it aboard resulted in its body tearing completely apart, leaving only a tiny tip of its tail weighing over 30 pounds on the ship's deck.
Also, brutal. I don't know if you've seen, first of all, how does anyone know what 4,000 pounds sounds like? It's just like making up numbers. Like, okay. Second of all, have you seen pictures of when cars hit moose?
I don't want to. No.
Okay. Well, I'm not
but
saying
I'm sure
you should.
it's brutal.
It's brutal. It's insane. The gore and mess and nonsense that like it will literally fill a backseat of a car with like shit and intestines. I can only imagine what this motherfucker tearing in half was like.
Oh my god. Yeah. The brutality of man.
Yeah.
To just anything minding its own business.
Timeless, some might say.
So, regardless, Captain Bouyer was determined to have the tail examined and documented, as it was something related to the squids he had seen on his previous voyages. The fragmentary sample of the creature's tail was indeed sent to a museum for further examination. However, by the following year, in 1862, scholars were unable to confirm whether the specimen remained preserved, and to this day, the sample from Captain Bouyer has yet to be examined or studied. Now, fear not. I know we have been going in pretty hard on keeping squids and kraken similar but legally distinct from each other for a pretty significant reason. And that's because, just like Nessie and the Meg, the kraken is most likely an enduring creature from our past.
Yeah, 1,000%. Duh.
Yeah, let's fucking get into it. But first I want to start with the ichthyosaurs species, which was, I wish people could see how shitty that was spelled, which were basically a group of marine...
You could tell them ICHTHYOSAURS.
It's just, I can barely pronounce regular words.
It's
I can't even pronounce map.
CHTYOS next to each other is foul, actually. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Horrendous.
Yes. So, these terribly spelled animals were basically a group of marine animals from 250 million years ago, which basically resembled a mix between a fish and a dolphin. They were roughly the size of blue whales, and their fossils display some pretty interesting characteristics, such as being crushed completely and then placed on the ocean floor in pleasing patterns. While it may sound like a prequel to the Meg, researchers proposed an intriguing theory in 2011, claiming that they may know what got the ichthyosaurs. Because smack dab in the middle of these peculiar bone arrangements tends to lay the fossilized beak of what could only belong to a big-ass kraken. Mark McMenamin, we're just going to call him Mark, a paleontologist from Mount Holyoke College, Massachusetts, presented these findings at the annual meeting of the Geological Society of America and introduced the idea that the kraken was indeed real and wasn't something the Norse simply made up for the love of the game. He mentioned the ichthyosaurs bones discovered in the Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park, Nevada, may have been manipulated for amusement.
What do you mean? Like in a sideshow?
Let me tell you.
Okay.
I will say, you're going to come at me for this because it mentions octopi.
Great.
But it is worth noting that modern octopuses are known to manipulate objects like bones and shells to construct middens, which are essentially underwater dams made out of shell and bone-like debris to conceal the entrances to their dens. If you look in that picture there, you will see this octopus has like a little line, and up along the wall in the background of shells and bones placed in a semi-decorative way.
So it's almost like
an octopus.
It's almost like they're the same.
but it's a squid. And since everyone knows how smart the modern octopus is, Mark doubles down on this discovery that the arranged bones could be the earliest indications of cephalopod intelligence. And initially met with skepticism, Mark now presents further evidence to support his theory. He argues that natural processes such as currents or mud compaction could not have accounted for the bone arrangements. The unique shape of the bones makes it highly improbable for currents to have naturally positioned them in such an organized manner. And this organization is the most compelling evidence that an intelligent creature intentionally arranged the bones and shells that they found.
I love octopuses are so fucking cool. They're so cool, they're so smart, they're so fucking sick, and they're also into interior design.
They're everything we want to be, but have evolved into the bullshit that prevents us from being happy.
If we would have not walked out of the water, if that one fish hadn't have come out of the ocean, we would just be octopus. And I think, you know what octopuses don't have? Credit scores. So I just think we were really supposed to be
You know
that.
what? They have the natural credit score, and it's a fucking 850. Is that the highest credit score is an 850?
I think so.
It doesn't matter.
I wouldn't know because it's not real.
either. Another significant finding is a second example of this peculiar bone pattern. This instance comes from the ichthyosaur. I didn't put the phonetic.
Ichthyosaur.
The ichthyosaur fossil previously displayed at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Museum of Natural History.
Oh, that just rolls off the tongue now, doesn't it?
Whoa, I can pronounce that. A curator shared a photograph of the fossil with Mark, revealing scattered bones that had been displaced from their original positions within the skeleton. Adjacent to them was a double row of vertebrae arranged in the same configuration as the original ichthyosaur remains. The rib cage of this museum specimen displayed damage, suggesting the potential constriction by the tentacles of a large deep-sea predator. Enthralled by the museum photograph, Mark embarked on a field expedition back to the Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park. There, he and his team searched for more cephalopod evidence among the fossils weathering out of the rocks, and astonishingly, they found it. One of the fossils they collected was a peculiar, pointed object that Mark nearly discarded, mistaking it for a fish. However, upon closer examination, he observed non-fish-like fibers running through it, leading him to preserve it. And months later, he acquired a modern Humboldt squid beak from an online marketplace and compared it to the ancient fossil.
I just imagined him on Facebook
Etsy.
Marketplace.
Yeah.
And it's like, Humboldt squid beak, $50 or trade. He's like, oh my god, hello, is this still available?
Yeah. The fracturing patterns and fibers were a match, leading Mark to believe that he may have discovered the beak of an elusive Triassic sea kraken. And according to Mark, the fossil finding confirms the existence of giant cephalopods in the region during that time period. Isn't that weird? That like it was in fucking Nevada, dude. That blows my mind. I'm like, I know that Lake Bonneville was there, but I just my lizard brain is always like, no, I live in a desert.
Yeah, we live in technically what was the bottom of an ocean.
That's so fun.
I know, it's going to come back, baby. It's coming back, baby. Let's go. Woo!
The evidence suggests that the ichthyosaur may have fallen victim to an attack from a significantly larger predator. This would have been larger than a fucking blue whale. This new evidence adds weight to the intriguing theory of massive kraken-like creatures that once inhabited the Triassic seas and may still be terrorizing sailors to this day. God only hopes that it reemerges to help fight the good fight with the orcas, killing every fucking yacht and boat on the damn ocean from here to Christmas.
Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I am talking about, you know?
And as Liam Neeson said, release the Kraken.
See, didn't it feel good?
It felt bad. It felt awkward.
You know, the destruction of capitalism starts with the destruction of every yacht by the orcas and Kraken. So maybe join.
The downfall of capitalism will come from the uprising of the orcas. And that's poetic.
That is.
Dude, I love it. I hope they kill every fucking boat.
Me too,
and I say
man.
that, Yeah, and I say that as a person who like would prefer boats as a means of travel, but you know what? I know where I'm not wanted.
I've always been a boat hater, and I've especially been a yacht hater, and I am almost certainly a cruise hater. And these are facts. So knowing that the orcas are taking them down, and hopefully with the assist of a giant squid or kraken or giant octopus, whatever you want to call it, it's just delicious to me. I'm excited. And actually what also? So footage came out today of a pod of orcas in Monterey Bay, California, which is like unheard of. And everyone's like, they're organizing, which was funny. But also, this is it, baby. This is it. There's like one fucking orca still in captivity in something that is smaller than your middle class America pool in the water. Someone took an aerial view with a drone recently, and look it up, it's horrific. The water is like tinted green, literally smaller than a swimming pool, and it's just brushing itself against like the barriers of the walls. And they're not gonna, it's not even public, it's not even visible, they're just keeping it to fucking torture it, I assume. And this is it. Like, this is what I always wanted. I always wanted the orcas to have revenge for what SeaWorld did. And now they are. And I think it's perfect. It is beautiful. It's poetic. I can't wait. There's some like big ocean boat race with like expensive ass boats, not yachts, but like expensive racing boats happening. And the last leg is about to start. And fingers crossed, that we have some orcas destroying the boats. They rip out the rudders, they make them incapable of moving, which is also interesting, as we talked about on Patreon last week. It's because one of the rudders hit the mother orca, and so that's all they do. They just rip that out, and it's just shows how smart they are and how we deserve their punishment. So
I will say, I'll make the call right now, because our orca shirts that we launched are doing well. 100% of the proceeds from that we will donate to the orcaconservancy.org, which is a Washington State 501c3 nonprofit organization working on behalf of the killer whale and protecting the wild places on which it depends.
Hell yeah, baby. That's what I like to hear. My dream growing up was I was watching Sea Shepherd, first experience to veganism. I was watching them fucking take down whalers and take down shark fin hunters, and I was like, this is my dream. It never manifested, unfortunately, but I hope that we get to do, even if it's 0.005% of doing something good for that cause. It means the world to me.
Yeah, please. Even if you donate, we'll do the same thing we always do. If you want to donate, we'll send you the art for the shirt. If you don't want to buy a shirt, fucking just do it.
Yeah,
we have to give money to these organizations. Like, we have to, because we are not close enough to go out and spear these fucking yachty Ahabs to their goddamn hearts. We have to do it with our money as a landlocked society.
As a landlocked state, we've got to do that.
Yeah.
And speaking of freeing yourselves from the chains, you can find a Linktree link in all of our bios. We are at Go to Hell Podcast. I am at Noelle Fain. That is at Sith Lard. And in that Linktree, you can find a link to our Patreon. New episode every week. $1 gets you in. Fun one this week, baby. And by fun, I mean full of existential dread. And we also have a link to our merch, obviously, which includes the joining the war on the Orca side. And we also have the Drag is Not a Crime. We also have the Protect Trans Kids. We have two actually new designs for the trans kids like donation project push that we're doing. Super fun, super cool. And we also have a link to Kelly Holloran or at Wildwood Owl on Etsy. She makes all of our cool stickers and shit and bandanas and pins, and she also makes cool stuff in general, so go check her out. We have links to our Discord server, our Facebook group for the boomers, and I don't know why you need it, but all the ways to listen to us, which is honestly anywhere podcasts are heard. We pay a pretty fucking penny for that, so you better be listening everywhere.
It was very expensive, actually.
Just getting ready to come up, dude. I'm
Oh
terrified.
no! Yeah, make sure there's money in the. Dude, that is scary. When I tell people how much it costs, they're like, "Why don't you use the money from your merch store to pay for it?" And I'm like, "We don't want to be sellouts, man.
We can't be sellouts, man."
And they're like, "You've been eating ramen for 6 months because of how fucking expensive it is." And I'm like, "You want to know? Never sold out." Ramen, because it's still fucking affordable. The same day ramen raises its prices is the day we'll start dipping into the merch store funds, but today's not that day and tomorrow's not that day either.
That's the truth of it all, man. That is the truth of it all. And speaking of the truth, I want to give a shout out, as always, to the number one of my heart. A quick, hearty, and heartfelt hail Satan.
I'm gonna say hail the cephalopods that will hopefully rise up from the ocean floors to assist in this war. And I say cephalopod, Noelle, because I realize octopus and squid, that debate's not the enemy. Capitalism's the enemy, and it's time to finally fucking come together.
That is true. I will give a hail to that as well, because you're spot on with it. So, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, bye!
Bye!